So here's a little thing that's handy for you. If you go to game, you can change your temperature from Celsius to Kelvin or Fahrenheit if that's something you're more used to. But anyway, greetings and salutations everyone. I'm Ekamac. This is Let's Play Oxygen Not Included. In the last episode, I realized that I might not have eaten my lunch, and I still haven't eaten any sort of meal. Oh dear, I should go get food. Never mind, I did eat food. What I didn't do was something probably more important, so it's a good thing I got a chance to do that. Is it unprofessional to leave my Let's Play going while I go off and do other things? Yes. But the thing about this game is that there's a lot of dead time, so I don't mind too much leaving it unattended for small breaks. Anyway, I think what we need to do is... There's no cultivatable soil here. You didn't eat it though. I guess someone picked it up and delivered it to the research station because they saw it was a high priority sweep errand. That's a nice thing. We need to add power cables for all of these. Although maybe not 9 priority. Each of these is going to be its own manual generator and jumbo battery combo. Eventually we're going to have ways to hold more powerful circuits. But we don't have those ways at the moment. The thing is, conveyor loaders. These do take actual power to work, so do the auto sweepers. And we don't actually have anywhere to deliver anything that we want to deliver, but when all is said and done, it's better to start building this now than to rush it all at the last minute. Speaking of which, I think it's about time we started preparing for the top of this hatch ranch. But there's a lot of plant life in the way, so we're going to have to uproot all of this. And unfortunately that includes a few wild plants that I really would have liked to hang on to. But it's for the good of the colony. Anyway, is there any other project that we could be having a closer look at? Honestly, yeah, we could probably prioritize getting this out of the way faster. Even though it's going to let more chlorine into the base and we don't need more chlorine in the base. Oh yeah, this is definitely Dead Air episode. We need more hatches to speed up the work with the ranch, but we need muckroot to make up for the fact that we don't have any other food source other than the mush bars. Which honestly, I think I'm going to make 18 of right now. So here's the thing about, well, this game does actually follow the law of physics quite well. Hydrogen is the lightest gas, so it goes to the very top. Chlorine, not as nice, so it tends to drop down to below oxygen. Carbon dioxide is far heavier though, so it's going to go below the chlorine. So you can usually expect things to end up at the top or the bottom based on their weight. And that's exploitable for something called passive filtering. Well, I say exploitable, but no, it's actually part of what the game expects you to do. So if we drop into the research tab for a little bit, we can get liquid filters and gas filters. So what happens is, we have gas pumps before we have liquid pumps, which is a little unusual, but basically, you have a gas pump, it pumps in all the gas in its local vicinity, but it doesn't distinguish, so it's going to pump in chlorine, it would pump in carbon dioxide or oxygen. If we build it up here, pump in the oxygen and hydrogen. You use the gas filter or the liquid filter, and as long as you provide the power, it will send all of a specific element down one pipe and all of the other elements down another pipe. But it costs power. So to cut corners and to make it more power positive, what people do is they set things up so that they know exactly where each element is going to be, so they know what pump is going to have what element, and so they don't even need to use the filters. There's one specific, the one that's most obvious is with oxygen and hydrogen. Because we don't have that yet either, but electrolyzer. Convert water into oxygen and hydrogen. Become idle when the area reaches maximum pressure capacity. So the thing is, as long as if there's too much hydrogen or too much oxygen, it's going to start going idle and not doing anything. By having a gas pump way above it, or above it in such a way only hydrogen can get to it, then they can just pump that straight into a hydrogen generator, which was over here, and not have to worry about sending the wrong element into it. Therefore, using a very good power efficient electrolyzer. Anyway, we have research focus ready. Where should we put our research focus into? We aren't ready to finish Solid Control, but that won't stop us from starting it. So then, the thing that we wanted from the... well, okay. Should be fair. The fish release. If you ever get a fish captured and it's quite difficult to catch Paku or their relatives, then this is where they drop them off, so it can be useful for sending them to areas that are more suited to their temperature. The incubator can have eggs stored in it. if you're willing to send them 240 watts of power, which is quite expensive, and deal with the 4.5 kDTU, then you can have a rancher sing to them, which speeds up the incubation time by, I think it was 400%. Very good for hatching them quickly, but for things like this hatch ranch, we actually want them to hatch naturally rather than waste the power on the incubator. The critter trap and the fish trap unfortunately are out of our range because they require plastic, and we don't have a way to make plastic yet. We won't have it for quite some time. The fish trap is the only way to catch fish. If you use an incubator, then you can take a fish egg straight to a fish release. The critter trap is used for catching ground critters that normal ranchers can't. There are two types of critters like that. And airborne critter bait. I don't know whether we researched this earlier, but it's used for luring air critters, which are the puffed and the shine bug. I don't know if the other flying critter can be caught like that as well. I've never gotten that far in the game. They're a very advanced species. But the most important thing, critter sensor. We need this for automating the hatch ranch. Now, all that said, you've gotten quite old. You've got maybe one egg left in you before you just die of old age. It's unfortunate, but it's how it is. We're still staying just barely ahead of the food curve there. But we do have a few paku here and there that are producing some paku fillet. And we do have our beginnings of our hatch ranch, but I think we need to expand it a bit better than we have been. Like, we need to have it, if not full capacity, then enough capacity that they can produce enough eggs. This one definitely needs to have less hatches in it. Which is why, actually, I think I'll capture and move one of you. By hitting Wrangle and setting this to a low priority, Ren should carry him somewhere else. Yeah, just like that. Still working on getting our big hatch ranch set up in here, so I guess let's have a look at what we need to build for the control room. Alright, so I want to pause, but I can't pause. We build something here, 3 across, another 3 across, we need to build here. We need a mechanized airlock here. Right, and then there's all the shipping involved. Hang on, we've moved away from where I was setting everything up, didn't we? I am following a guide for this because reinventing the wheel is kind of silly, and I prefer having things that I can just look at and work with. So, the important rule with mechatronics. People can still supply for them, that is, they can bring us the materials, but Hassan is the only person who can build these things. Speaking of which, Hassan is now a super duper hard digger. And Ren is now a rancher extraordinaire. The important thing is, we get points in digging for every one of these skills that we earn. Way over here, hazmat digging, we don't get any points, but it lets us dig up things that we wouldn't be able to dig anywhere else. Not that I can see it because it's hidden by the recording bar, but that's only a thing that you have to worry about when you start dealing with nuclear power. Okay, what can we make? Pipsqueaks are pretty rare around here. We'll eventually be able to visit a planet where they're plentiful, but they're rare around here. The Dreco. In order to get meat though, we'd have to turn these straight into omelets because waiting for them to hatch just wouldn't be worth it. I kind of want to go for the Pipsqueak because it's actually very handy for this part of the game because here's the thing about Pipsqueaks. Or Pips rather. I mean, it's got to grow up first, but once we build this little critter drop-off, Pips have this thing. If they ever see a box, then they'll immediately empty all the contents of said box. It's quite annoying. But if they find seeds, then they will immediately take those seeds and plant them in the ground. I think only adults can do it, and there's restrictions over where they can plant. Also, they can only plant in natural earth. Something like a sandstone tile isn't allowed. Although if they do have a farm tile, they'll plant in that, so keep them away from any sort of farming equipment if you're going for that achievement. But yeah, I want to bring this Pip over here because they should start planting all these mealwoods for us and give us more sources of food, which is very important. Catalina, you want to... Why did I get Catalina? Catalina is my rocketry, is my iron gut for rocketry, so actually it would be good to put you in rocket piloting. And give you the fancy rocket piloting hat because, even though we don't have space right now, we can get you to exosuit training. Oh, we have hatches. They'll be great for this one here. And speaking of that one there, we should probably start digging up this area now because we need to expand this bottom ranch. By having this huge expanse of open ground beneath us, all the chlorine is starting to settle down here. That's nice because now it's stopped getting in everyone's face. Yeah, I always feel so much more better. I always feel so relieved to get my digger up to the black hat. I don't know whether that's an offensive term. If it is, I'm sorry, but this hard hat means that there's now nowhere I can't dig to. And I usually have mechatronics engineering, so this ends up tying things off nicely, and now I can build a lot of things too. I always get a little paranoid though about shine bugs getting into the ranch. Because then they end up being groomed and it's actually very hard to get them away from the ranch. without letting out everything else too. I believe that for safety purposes, duplicants will never excavate a tile unless the materials to build that thing are in place. In some ways this is bad, but in some ways it's good. Like, it's good because the queens, in theory, they're never going to end up losing themselves, locking themselves away. But it's also bad because sometimes the positioning is that they just can't excavate everything. Wait, no, that's not right. What was it? I'm sure there's a drawback to it, I just need time to think of it. Actually, you know what would be a good thing to add? Parks. Parks are only really useful for one specific purpose, and that's for the, they give a decor bonus for a day if a duplicant passes through them. It's very hard to arrange it so that a park is positioned in a place where you get them on a daily basis. Unless you build them into the central corridor, or maybe you build your proper bedrooms behind them. It's all kind of silly stuff. But what does make it useful is that there's an achievement. You need several nature reserve. We need 4 nature reserves for an achievement. So it's better to get it done early than late when it's hard to find natural plants, because very specific, wild plants only. Also, we will need this topped off. Why isn't this topped off? So it's better to do it early when there's still a population of natural plants. Let's build that. And that. I'll delete them later once I have the nature reserve ticked off. It doesn't matter what condition the plants are in. If they're extremely unhealthy plants, because, well, the temperature is too low or too high, that's okay. What matters is that they are wild plants. I would say, it's tricky to find 4 untouched plants. I'm gonna get rid of these pneumatic doors once I get all the nature reserves pegged off. So it's not too bad if they're blocking off the wild animals from where I'd rather they be. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we should have enough by the long term. We just need to find it. Also, darn! Someone produced a sage hatchling egg. That is something we don't want. So, sorry guys. We gotta crack that egg. Now here's the question. There must have been dirt that these guys got their grubby little jaws onto, because they have 7% chance of laying sage hatch eggs. Still low odds, but as anyone who played a Fire Emblem game, just because the odds are low doesn't mean it's not going to happen all the time. Especially since these guys produced what, one egg almost just over every 5 cycles. And they live for 100 cycles, so that's going to be about 20 eggs. Even a 7% chance is probably going to happen across all that. Oh, speaking of which, we can capture a new critter. And that should be the achievement. Some reservations. Built 4 nature reserves. So now we can just... Meat! Okay, get consumables online. Ban eating meat. Meat must always be brought straight here, straight now, straight away. And actually tag other things that we want to keep absolute 100% control on. All meat must be turned into barbecue. We don't have enough meat for 1 barbecue, but that's not important because it still means that they bring it straight here and put it in the electric grill, and the electric grill will keep it safe from decomposing, because that's actually a really nice detail about these things. Any food kept in these specific food storage, food conversion chambers, is immune to all types of rotting, so it can't, even if it's kept in absolute polluted oxygen all the time, it shouldn't go stale or rot until they finish cooking it and it pops out. Oh dear, so the thing is that little bubby critters, they tend to have reduced movement options compared with their parents, so this little guy is actually trapped in this corner up here. He's perfectly happy though, just look. He's happy. But he's also not in a safe place. This is the You have to be extra careful with eggs around water because not all critters can survive such a location. So if the adult could just step out of the water, but the babies can't, then they're kind of in trouble. So keep an eye on your wild eggs. Anyhow, we've produced a raw egg. We might as well put that in the cooking, but he can't reach. But what we can do is set them to cook an omelette. 2,800 kilocalories, that's a lot. It's just not as much as actually cooking the food, cooking the meat would be worth, and it doesn't count for carnivore. Again, we need 100 hatches. We actually don't have enough copper ore to get through all this. That's kind of a... well, actually no, it's not the copper ore. We have loads of copper ore. We don't have enough refined copper to get through all this, so... What I should do is install a copper automation system here. Or rather, this lamp so it lights up the area whenever it detects a duplicate is in range. The reason I'm not using a pressure plate is because the sand and the copper is dropped straight onto this tile. It's not able to work. Certain production buildings will produce them on different tiles, and you can use weight plates for them, but not the rock crusher. Unless you have a perfectly positioned auto sweeper that can get absolutely everything out of range of it. But auto sweepers are a bit precious at the moment. Still working on the hatch ranch. We don't have the research to complete it all, and actually that's the problem. We haven't set up our materials research laboratory yet, so this is now complete. So what else should we invest in? I guess start working on getting the virtual planetarium, but after we align these in the correct direction, I think we might actually want to look at... No, actually what we want to look at is the smart battery, which for some reason is under sound amplifiers. Presumably because we've got the jukebot in here, because it's definitely not for the power control station or smart battery. Now, the thing is, the smart battery holds less charge than the jumbo battery. But it has two advantages. One is automation. You can plug an automation wire into it, and suddenly it can control how it can send out automation signals based on how much charge it has. This is very important for automatic power generators like the coal generator, because those will just run 100% of the time. You need a smart battery to keep it in check. The other... So this actually loses charge over time. Specifically, it loses 1.25 kADTU over time. The smart battery is more efficient. It radiates less heat, so it loses charge slower. So it's actually better to hang on to a smart battery for most of the game. Like, there are probably situations where the jumbo battery is better, I just don't know them off the top of my head. Yeah, this is the problem with chlorine and hydrogen. Eye irritation. It reduces their athletics a bit. Increased exposure increases the time that they have that status. Going into oxygen reduces it. This is the problem with the muddy swamp biomes. It's that, because everything is polluted to oxygen, that maintains the time that they have negative athletics. And hydrogen is actually really easy to get a face full of because of the plug slugs that are native to them. They eat metals, they poop out hydrogen. And so if anyone gets a face full of that, then they are stuck with it until you have a way to filter out the air. And maybe even beyond that. Ooh, but we passed the 30-minute mark, so it's probably time to wrap up. Yeah, the game's getting slow at this point, but I'm still enjoying it. Anyhow, until next time guys, take care, I'll see you all around. Now we might as well wait for the next 40 seconds to get at this printing pod benefits, right? So I don't like any of these things. I'm going to save scum off screen. Until next time, take care. I'll see you all around.